On this week's episode, what's going on with The Walking Dead? Why did Bethesda choose Fallout over Elder Scrolls? And what are the highs and lows so far in 2018? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. The PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly want to thank you so much for tuning into our shows each and every week, either to our online radio stations or our podcast networks. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the man, the myth, the legend behind Humanica Media. You got to check out everything on humanicamedia.com. Humanica Media on YouTube, or all the great shows on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and so many other different outlets. It's my good friend. It's Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
Hey, man. I just looking at Switch games, I was just trying to figure out why all the good ones are so expensive and they never go on sale. Remember back when Nintendo Wii came out? Nintendo Wii games were always on sale, but Switch games, they don't put them on sale, and I don't get it.
The same thing was for the Wii U. I noticed that during its life cycle, games that were of quality on that system did not come down at all. And I know that's, for me, one of the reasons why I believe the Wii U went down so quickly. And it's obviously apparent that Nintendo hasn't learned from its past mistakes.
Right. And I even went over to Toys R Us today, and they said that people just bought up the Nintendo Switch games. Didn't matter what it was. All the resellers just came in, rated them, and now they're selling them online. So it's just you're not going to get a discounted Wii game, or not Wii game, but Switch game. And when you do, it's only like $10, so it's not even worth it.
No, and it's gonna be a long time before any of the major games for the system, Splatoon 2, Zelda, Mario, and any of the other quality first-party Nintendo games go down in price. So you're going to be hard pressed to find discounts on it. So I think that's going to hold up a little bit some people and give some people apprehension before they actually go out and buy a Nintendo Switch. But we'll have to see how it goes down the road. I still think at some point in time the tide is going to turn and the Switch will actually improve domestically here in its sales, as opposed to right now with the PlayStation 4 being on top so far here in the US in 2018. They're still dominating like no tomorrow in Japan, but I foresee by the end of the holiday with some more quality releases, them coming back on top in 2018.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, I was reading today with the release of we'll probably talk about this later on a later show, but with the release of news of the release of the Pokemon games, which I predicted, by the way. Thank you very much.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Their stock prices soared today, so that's interesting news. But we'll discuss this at a later date, I'm sure. How you doing, man?
I am doing well, and I think it's going to be a great episode for everyone out there today. Nintendo, like you said, they just, as long as they retain those hardcore games, and we were worried about what they would produce behind the Zelda and Mario games. Pokemon is one of those few franchises that they can count on to gain them sales. After that, I'm not quite sure what there is. So they're going to have to come out with obviously a Mario Brothers or a Super Smash Brothers Brawl or something out there that's going to really target a new audience. They're going to be giving people the first look at the Super Smash Brothers Brawl for the Switch. That's something to look forward to. Will it be enough to carry the holiday season? We'll have to find out, and we'll speculate more on that as the months go forward. And obviously you'll get a chance to take a look at it up close when you're at E3. But it is going to be a great episode we have for you indeed. We've got Daphne Matthew from the Walking Dead fan base. She's stopping by to talk all the big changes going on and the big news going on with the Walking Dead. The series is in question, and we're going to talk about all those parameters, including some major impending departures and possibly even someone being retained at a very high dollar amount and what that could do for the series. We're going to talk about that when she comes on. Plus, also as well, we've got Hunter Ferris from the Song Appeal podcast finishing up our conversation on the scores and the music behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then Jessica Boggs and Out of Curiosity from the TV Ratings Guide. They're going to stop by with some final thoughts from the recent upfronts on some other networks, cable networks and the like, and some of the shows that they liked and didn't like that either got dropped off or picked up by those networks. But first, my friend, it is the halfway point of 2018. So much has been said, so much has been talked about, so much has been done, seen, and when it comes to pop culture so far in 2018, I think it's been a pretty darn good year so far to date. What are your thoughts initially when we talk about the first 6 months of 2018?
They've been. Are we talking about just in movies or video games or everything?
Everything in pop culture, my friend. That's why this is the pop culture cosmos.
Well, a lot of TV show cancellations I've noticed. I don't really watch a lot of TV anymore, but I know like there's, um, Lucifer was one people like to watch, and there's a lot of CW shows getting canceled. So it just kind of makes me wonder if the rise of Netflix and Hulu and all these streaming services are about to bring about the end of your normal cable TV viewing. So
But
that
those some of those shows are being picked up by those streaming network options. Obviously, we've got Designated Survivor being picked up by Netflix, and also as well, we've got Amazon picking up The Expanse for season 4 from the Sci-Fi Network.
Right, and it's kind of showing a shift in trends, I guess, because a lot of people are staying inside all day watching Netflix, but what I'm seeing is instead of people saying, "Hey, I have to be back at my couch at this time," I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do something, and then when I come back or I have a day off, I'm gonna sit here and I'm just gonna watch the entire season of this show. So I don't know, like I want to look up the statistics on that, but like I'd be fascinated to find out more about it.
I
Um,
would as well. I would as well. So you do that investigative research. You put that National University journalism degree to the test, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Justify those student loans, man. Just gotta justify the payments, you know?
don't remind me.
What did you
But
use your degree for? Oh, TV research.
yeah. But we won't talk about that. Those were some fun times. Hey, if it wasn't for National University, we wouldn't have met and started this show. So all
True.
props.
Dream team. Dream team.
All props to NU. But it has definitely been a great 6 months, my friend. First off, I want to hit something close to home with you in the first 6 months of 2018. Your thoughts on the best video game of 2018.
Ooh. Hold on. Sorry. So far, God of War is my pick for that. I'm trying to see when did yeah. So God of War, and I really did enjoy Faye. Those were two really well put together games. God of War, Faye tried to tell a story, kind of failed, but it's still a beautiful game. God of War told a story and presented you with a beautiful game, and that was really cool because there hasn't been anything like that in a long time. You know, we've talked about that quite a bit, but
So for
you know,
you, for you were saying that God of War you think is the best game so far of 2018, and if there's a game you should try out there, you're suggesting Faye, correct?
yeah. So if there's a game you're just looking to play for this mindlessly for the sake of playing something, Faye is a very beautiful game. Faye is it's fun to look at, it's easy to control, and it's not overly complicated. A lot of puzzle solving, but if you're looking for something to really give your time to and invest in, and you want characters that you can follow from the start of the game to the end of the game, God of War is definitely something that you want to check out. And even if you're not like a huge video, if you're just a casual video game player, God of War is honestly, with the exception of being good for children, it's honestly good for all types of gamers.
Well, and that leads me into this question: what is the worst video game for you that you've seen or played in 2018?
Ooh, N plus plus for sure. I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for saying that, but and surprisingly, like that review that I made has gotten quite a lot of downloads. But yeah, there's so many beautiful platformers out there now as far as like you have Celeste and you have what was the one I just played? 88 Heroes or whatever that one was. But and then you go to N plus plus and you literally have a game that can go on forever and you have players making levels that they don't even try to see if they can beat themselves. It's just you go from one thing to the next and you don't even know if the levels are beatable. So you invest all this time and you can only get so far. It's like there's a game on mobile, I want to say, and it's a golf game, and the game has I think it has like 2,500 levels on it, and there's literally just no end to the game. You keep going and going because people are still adding levels onto this game as you go, and I'm sure N plus plus, I know it has its fan base, but it's just a wasn't a huge fan, not for me, but I know there are people out there who do like it. What are your picks though?
Were you talking about Golfinity?
Yes, I think that's the one.
Yeah, that appears to what I'm seeing investigating. I got to give that a try because that looks kind of fun. Uh, I will say for me, for this year so far, the first 6 months, I agree with you. God of War is the best game so far, 2018. From not only from a presentation standpoint, but it clearly for individuals like me who are kind of bored with the previous iterations of God of War and even though I played them, still could never really get 100% behind it because it was just kind of mindless, uh, in my estimation. I really have gotten into seeing and observing what's going on with the God of War series at this point in time because it's taken a turn for the better. It looks like it is presentation wise, story wise, and from a gameplay standpoint, it's still not too shabby as well. It looks like so far it is head and shoulders above anything else that's been released so far in 2018. The game I think you should try is Omen Sight. It's this cute little, it's a cute little, it's a cute little hack and slash game. It's not there are other things you can do with it as far as some simple platforming. There's other options and powers that you can get along the game. But when I put my review out here pretty soon on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, I think I'm going to give it a pretty nice grade. And for something that, like you said, is mindless fun, very easy to get into. The controls are very good. That it really doesn't. It reminds me so much of a game from the past, like 2005, 2006. It would really fit in well and really would stand out then. But in today's marketplace, it's just going to get drowned under in the world of battle royales, first-person shooters, and third person RPGs. So I definitely at this point in time, I would say if you give Omen Sight a try, it's a low price download that'll actually just keep your interest for about 5, 6, 7 hours, and it's definitely worth giving a try. I will say the worst game by far that I played this year so far is Conan Exiles. It's a stinker beyond all description at this point. For me, it's clearly unfinished, clearly not polished at all. There's glitches everywhere. It makes a Bethesda game look polished, and that to me is really saying something because there is just so many glitches, so many annoyances. There's so much clutter on the screen at one time. Your inventory system is kind of hard to navigate through. The actual exploration is kind of hit or miss. The interaction, as far as from a standpoint, it's kind of got a hard difficulty curve to get into at first, and then the battle systems and the way you're fighting in the game is really not that fun or different. So all around, Conan Exiles looks to be something that I say you kind of want to avoid, and something that you probably won't want to get into as time goes on anyways. So it'll soon be forgotten. I know it's something that people were looking forward to because of the fact that it has this mass multiplayer type format, but unfortunately, the gameplay itself leaves something to be desired. When it comes to movies, my friend, I want to switch to movies. What are some of the best, worst, and movie you think also as well people should catch as far as from all three standpoints when it comes to the movies so far in 2018?
Well, real quick, I do want to ask you about Conan Exiles. Do you think they put the game out prematurely, or do you think they were kind of banking on the idea that gamers are now okay with the fact that games evolve as they come out?
Well, I think you're right, especially when it comes to games like PUBG, Fortnite, and so many other games. Arc, Arc, was it Arc Evolved? Arc Evolved. What was that?
Yeah, it was Ark.
I know, but
No, was it No Man's Sky?
oh, No Man's Sky. No Man, yeah. People weren't accepting of No Man's Sky. I can tell you that. Um, oh, Ark Survival Evolved. I know that game was like. I know that game was out. It playable. People were buying into it, and it was still an unfinished product. Same thing, like I said, for PUBG and even Fortnite to an extent. You're right. People are into going ahead and buying things in early access, and this was an early access. In fact, you got a chance to play this game in early access, at least give it a shot, and you had some issues with it as well. So I can definitely see that being that being a problem as far as what type of games can actually work when they're in an early access stage and what games can. And this one clearly cannot work at all in this format because at times, at a lot of times, it just was either very boring or very unplayable due to the fact it had so many things detracting from it from a polish and an unfinished standpoint. So.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think that with all the other Conan's kind of a property that's never been done just over the years, and I think it's just because it's a story that it's the themes of the story have just been beaten to death, and we need some time before we dive back into the world of Conan. Maybe as an HBO series, but I don't think it's a popular enough franchise for a successful video game.
Not in 2018, that's for sure. But I know you've been big on movies, my friend. So I know that you've seen a lot of the movies that are out there so far in 2018. So give me your list, man. The best movie of 2018 so far, the worst of 2018, and also a movie that you think not everybody has caught, but you think is something that they may want to catch.
Okay, hold on one second. I had a list that I was going through. I lost it. Hold on one second. We're going here. All right. So I want to say like the best movie I've seen so far, my favorite has been Avengers Infinity War as like a big budget film. So it's kind of like obvious we don't need to talk about what it is, but like it just kind of it was entertaining, had a decent story, and it was kind of something that we've all been waiting for. Um there's some other okay, there's some other like Netflix had some decent films come out this year. I don't know, like did you like Bright?
I've not seen Bright as of yet. I'm planning on doing so at some point in time. Obviously, the success of it, even though it's been very mixed at best with the critics, has warranted a Bright too. So, but I will tell you, one of my worst movie is a Netflix movie, but I won't share that one as of yet until I'm ready.
All right, sounds good. But no, like Bright wasn't I wouldn't call it like a super good movie, but like it created an interesting premise. They had elves and not dwarves, but orcs and all that. Like what if they all existed in a modern setting? And that's really cool. And from what I understand, Max Landis, who's not doing so well these days, I guess, he wrote it on an airplane. So you gotta give props to that. But it's like it was not a good movie, not a great movie, but it was good, and it captured my attention. what else is out there that I saw? I wish I wish I could see more movies.
Well, you've already picked one, like I said, with your best movie, which is Avengers Infinity War. You've already got one people should try and Bright. So tell me, my friend, what is the worst movie you've seen so far in 2018? I know you liked A Quiet Place as well.
Yes, I did like A Quiet Place. What did I see? There's a hold on, I'm going through a list here. I'll get you in a minute. Let me give me 1 second. I can't remember the name of it. Here, come back to me on this one. Go ahead and start your list. I'll chime in when I find the name of it.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead with my list and say the best movie I've seen is also Avengers Infinity War this year. It is truly one of the best that Marvel has had to offer, and it needed to be in many ways, and it delivered. Yeah, you can nitpick it to death because there's so long, there's so much they tried to put in there, and there's stuff that either should have been in there, should not have been in there, that it's neither here nor there as far as what the little nitpicking is concerned. The overall thing with the movie is that it does a great job of what it's trying to do, and that is pack in as much as it can within a 2 hour 40-minute time frame, and try and entertain audiences the best they can while giving it a big enough surprise so that it entertains the audience, has them talking, and brings them back for next year's 2019 installment. So it does a great job of that. We've talked about it ad nauseum already. The film is just very good. It is one of my top picks as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe overall. I think that people should see it if they haven't already, and I do recommend it highly. The movie I think you should try is actually not too far behind, and I'll tell you what, it's if you haven't seen it already, I think you're crazy not to. But if you haven't seen Black Panther already, then you have to give it a try now. That's on home theater, now that's streaming, now that's available on Blu-ray. There's just no excuse now. It is a very, very well written movie, excellent direction, a great villain. Everybody else is really, really good. A strong cast that's assembled, and it does all the right things that it needed to, and just is a great, great representative as well of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The worst movie I've seen, like I said before, is Netflix. It was Netflix bound, and that was a movie that was actually intended to come out in the theaters, but at the last minute got pulled over into Netflix, and that's the Cloverfield Paradox. That movie was very smart in what it was doing, going over to Netflix instead of tanking at theaters, because it is truly an awful movie. It was a waste of my time. I believe it's probably a waste of a lot of others. Although Tyler Baker, our good friend from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast, when he saw it, he kind of liked it. So I give him props for enjoying it. But overall, I thought it was really a movie that I wanted my 2 hours back in my life that I won't ever get back. But it was a smart move of the distributor and also the movie company themselves to go ahead and send it over to Netflix. And actually was a win-win, because I know because of that Super Bowl trailer, it got a lot of interest early on as being a movie that for Netflix fans that they didn't want to miss.
Yeah, that's it's weird because I think a lot of people like the Paradox films, not Paradox, but Cloverfield films, because they're endearingly bad. Like, they know that they haven't made a hit in a long time, but they just keep pushing them out. They're like, eventually we're going to unscrew this mess that we've made.
Eventually.
Eventually. And when that's going to happen, it could be 2 movies from now, it could be 10 movies from now. We don't know, but they show no sign of stopping, because everybody interprets these movies differently, and it's like having, what, 4 Star Wars episode 8s come out at once. But yeah, we'll see, man.
But you remembered your last one, my friend. What's the movie you least liked so far in 2018?
Annihilation with Natalie Portman. I was hoping to get, I don't know what I was hoping to get out of that, but it there I don't know, how am I supposed to say this? Like I really loved Ex Machina, and I was hoping to kind of get a something that made me think, but Annihilation didn't make me think as much as it frustrated me, because I don't think that the you know what they were trying to do, I don't think they pulled it off in the way that they were hoping to pull it off, and it just left you, a lot of people, like a lot of deep thinkers, theologians, philosophers, like people I know who are into that stuff, like they really liked it, but you gotta, for something like that, you really just have to bring it back down in a way that won't like leaving the theater disappointed. Everyone interprets that movie differently. I know a lot of people had to go out and buy the book afterwards, and maybe that was their plan, but it just seemed like there was a lot better way to bring that theme back around instead of the way that they did.
Well, those are some great thoughts for that. I remember when we did the podcast with your review of Annihilation, and you were you were pretty upset. You were mad that you actually left the theater in an angry state, and that was not the way you want to leave a theater after you watch a movie. People I read online were befuddled by it, confused by it, angry by it, and unfortunately, one thing they were not was entertained, and that's why it left theaters pretty quickly. Any TV thoughts, my friend, so far in 2018? Because I've got a little list, but have you got any TV thoughts so far for the first 6 months of 2018?
No, not yet. I mean, I watched Altered Carbon on Netflix. It was okay. I don't watch a lot of TV. Like anytime I get into something, it gets canceled. So I'll watch the Netflix series. I did watch started Lost in Space. Didn't really like where they were going with that. That got a little awkward for me and unnecessary. And I just didn't like the have you seen any of it yet?
I have seen the first episode. I keep thinking about going back to it, but I kind of didn't love the first one because I think at the same time where both kids were in peril at one time, and it's just like, okay, give me a break. Really? At one time, they're both in danger in separate areas, so I
Right.
don't know.
To me, the big thing that I don't like is just the fact that the everything is so blown out of proportion in the show. Like all the drama is just amplified, and you have a villain in the form of this lady who's pretending to be a doctor that is just, she has no motivations for doing what she does. She just is a naturally evil and lazy person, and I can't get behind that, because there's no like, she's not, there's nothing driving her. It's just this impulse that she has to do bad things, and I just, that bothers me, because there's no layers to the character. It's just a walking bag of evil, I guess, and I just can't get behind that.
Because it's always been portrayed as a character that's been mostly kind of doing bad stuff, but at heart, he was still, even both the TV series and the 1990s remake with Gary Oldman, not 100% bad, or just, at sometimes was well-meaning and but very cowardly, and that whole nine yards concept there, as far as not 100% bad, but not always well-meaning as well. So I hear you on that.
Right, and I also didn't like her in Iron Man 3, so that's, it all comes, the lady with, she's the lady with the extremist lady. I forget what her name is.
Are you talking about Parker Posey?
Is that her? That might be her.
Well, I think it's different than the lady in Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay, well.
Yeah, it is Parker Posey. She's been in a lot of stuff before, but yeah, I don't think she was in Iron Man 3. But no way. I think that was somebody different. Because you were talking about the extremist lady that said she was national security that ended up trying to beat up Tony Stark, correct?
Yeah, maybe she just looked the same.
They just looked the same. Yeah, I think they were different. But anyway, anyways, but that's good. Some good thoughts. With me, it's a very close race on when it comes to TV as far as the best of. There are two shows this first 6 months of the year that are must-sees, in my opinion. I'm going to say if you can get and stream and binge on The Alienist, you need to do so, because it is a really really good look at the late 1800s as far as the scope of how forensics in its early stages might have been done. And also,
Oh, wait,
if
no, it's Parker Posey. I just IMDb'd it.
Parker Posey's in the Iron Man 3?
Oh, no, no. Sorry, I thought you said she wasn't in Lost in Space, but
No,
yeah.
she is in Lost in Space, but she's not in Iron Man 3.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Continue.
Anyways, IMDb Iron Man 3, and we'll see if I'm put to the test on that. While he's doing that, I will say, like I said, The Alienist is extremely, extremely well done. I'm just really was encaptured by almost every episode. A couple later episodes were kind of a little bit not the same level as the other ones, but if you get a chance, the show for the most part is an incredible ride, pretty much all the way through. The Alien is definitely one of the best shows so far of 2018, but very close behind it, or even right on par, is Cobra Kai on YouTube. So that's also one you should try to watch and binge. Even if you just want to get the free trial for YouTube Red, it is definitely a show worth watching. I was binging that while I was cleaning the fish tank at one time, and I tell you what, it was definitely worth a watch to watch all 10 episodes. It is so fun, and I wasn't even a bit like before I've said, I wasn't even a big fan of the Karate Kid at all. I understand its importance and relativeness in the world and realm of pop culture. I understand wax on, wax off, Mr. Miyagi, the whole 9 yards. But I never really got into it. I've seen the movie, but I just never really found the charm that others did. But when it came to this show, and I actually just turned it on a lark, it just really appealed to me like the movie never has. And I guess I was relating to Johnny's struggles as far as trying to come back literally almost from the dead or near death, as far as just his failure and his failures in his life into trying to bring out something special in a lot of youngsters. And it's actually very good, very well written. And actually, it's very well played by all the characters involved, including one of the rare times where a high school story with the kids interacting and teenagers, it's not like a total yawn or a total, just lame. It's actually not. It's actually very good. Even the parts within the high school kid realm, as far as within the scenario of the high school kids interacting and whatnot. So it is really a show worth watching as well. It's very close between The Alienist and Cobra Kai. Just binge both. It's really worth watching on both ends. The worst TV show for me is SEAL Team. I'm sorry to my wife on that, but it is SEAL Team, the worst TV show so far of 2018 by far. It's just truly awful television.
It sounds like something that would star like John Cena and Steve Austin.
No, it's the guy from Bones. He's executive producer on it. He's overseeing. This is his deal and all that. And when you actually want, I actually had sat through some episodes, and I tell you what, when you can figure out the plot within the first 10 minutes on what's going to happen, you say what's going to happen, and then it happens, and you're still not interested in it, it tells you how bad it is. So, unfortunately, SEAL Team, it's still highly rated, got picked up for another season. Good for them. But for me, it's some of the worst television I've watched so far in 2018.
Did you see The Magician? Have you watched The Magicians at all?
Only a small part of it, not enough to give it a passing or failing grade as of yet.
That's one of those shows I've been getting into that it's like I hate it and then I like it and then I hate it and then I like it. So it's
like the Orville for me and Westworld.
Right. It's very flippy floppy. I gotta watch Westworld still.
And yeah, it tell you what, shows like that are all over the map. The Orville is just on the surface, just what would appear to be a bad show. And if somebody comes up to me and tells me that show's awful, I cannot disagree with them. But it's like a guilty pleasure. So actually, at the end of each episode, you're still entertained all the way through, no matter how corny or bad the jokes get. It's kind of funny. And I guess that's why people seem to like it as well. So that's why it's been picked up for season 2. So Westworld, that seems to be trying to garner that audience that they will be losing for Game of Thrones. And people are talking about it much more so than they were in season one. But both seasons I've seen so far, and it's just all over the map as far as quality. Maybe it's different directors, different writers, whatnot. It just, you can always sense in a different episode when it's being done, or when it's being written or directed by a different person. So you get that different point of view and different vantage point. That it's just really just, some of it works and some of it doesn't. But just, if you're out there and you really have some TV, some video games, and some films that you really want us to share, whether how good, how bad, or something that we should try so far that's come out in 2018, share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. I also want to make sure, and Josh, before we head on to the break and head on over to my conversation with Daphne Matthew on The Walking Dead, I want to actually hear your thoughts on some of the big news stories so far in 2018, and tell me if you think otherwise. But the number one story for me so far in 2018 is the dominance of Marvel continuously at the movie theaters, with both a $1.3 billion maker in Black Panther, but also a nearing $2 billion great performance by Avengers Infinity War, and also in a way as well, another big hit with Deadpool 2, although it's not quite as good, it's not doing quite as well as the original, but still it still has a nice audience still coming to it, even for the second time around for Deadpool.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm kind of over the hype of Black Panther. It was a good movie, but it wasn't it wasn't like worth all the like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so let's praise this and give it an Oscar and all that stuff. It was a great movie, but it's just not, it's overhyped to me. But it Marvel's power, man. Marvel is a powerhouse. Even the non Disney affiliated Marvel film in Deadpool is doing relatively well. So it's just it, and I think it's mostly because they've been building up to this, and who's to say? We've talked about this before, but who's to say what's going to happen once Avengers Infinity War Part 2 comes out, and that's all wrapped up in a bow? Are people going to be more, and they're smart to open up with Spider-Man after Avengers Infinity War 2, but like, who's to say that people are going to start, they're going to go back to the movie theaters in droves? Who's to say? I don't doubt that they're going to do well, but we're going to see the types of numbers that we're seeing right now. And Marvel's smart, they're marketing very smart, very well. And it's just like as they've gotten better and better at it, but the future is kind of uncertain after next year for them.
Yes, it is, and there will be a superhero fatigue, but it's not yet. I will say, as the number two story, superhero fatigue, unfortunately for James Cameron, didn't happen quite yet, but it sure did. But audiences sure did get tired of Star Wars, as Solo came out and unfortunately did not perform anywhere near anyone's expectations for the film. It doesn't look like it's even going to get back its money, most likely, over the course of the long haul, which is very much a shame because I've seen it and it's an okay movie. It has quite a few flaws, but overall it's right in that range of movies with the other movies that have come out recently, in The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi. I know a lot of it is because of The Last Jedi. I know a lot of people had issues with that this year, so that's something as well that people seem to be still up in arms about when it comes to Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. But whether or not, we've speculated already on our last episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos why all the bad things happened to it, and it's rolled into a disappointing effort for Solo. So if you want to check out that episode, we really go into detail on that. But for right now, one of the major stories for 2018 is the failure of Solo and the possible declining returns for the Star Wars series. We'll have to wait and see until next year, late next year, when Star Wars Episode 9 comes out. So we'll have to see if that effect will still be there at that point in time. Number three, the top news stories I have is Fortnite Mania hits the gaming community hard. It was actually kind of going on top at the end of 2017, but it has exploded even more. Obviously, it's become a major thing on the streaming world, as far as the Ninja Drake thing, the Ninja Drake cooperational effort on Twitch, garnering so many hundreds of thousands of viewers. Fortnite actually becoming a really addictive game to a lot of people out there that really are enjoying its style, its fun nature. It's easy to get into. It's free to play. So there's no argument there on how cool of a game it is. People are really getting into it from all different walks of life, and not just kids. I know I hear all the time, as far as when I'm at the schools, yes, Fortnite, but I hear it as far as professional athletes, entertainers, and I hear it from newscasts. All over the place. Fortnite is a craze right now, and not only taking the battle royale genre to even larger heights, but it's actually one of those rare games that's gone beyond the video game marketplace and into pop culture as far as a whole is concerned. So your thoughts on Fortnite? I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, my friend, but you got to be impressed the first 6 months of the year at how well Fortnite has done.
Yeah, from what I understand, isn't PUBG trying to sue them right now?
In Korea, I believe, yes, it is a trademark copyright infringement type deal that they've actually gone to, they've actually laid the hammer down as far as court is concerned, and they're actually suing Fortnite, Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite, at this point in time. But we'll see what happens there. But it's not in the U.S. court of law; it's actually overseas.
I got it. Okay. Well, yeah, no, I give props to Fortnite. They've actually done something that we haven't seen in a long time, is bring a whole new type of gamer to video games. Pretty much, a lot of people who wouldn't touch it before got into it, and they did. And that just goes to show you what the power of free does. Uh, it's continually impressive, man. I don't really have a lot to say about that because I don't play it, but yeah, it's good for them. Good for them. They've done a good job of marketing themselves, doing the Thanos thing after Avengers Infinity War, and the future is looking bright. But Call of Duty believes that they're going to be able to swindle in on the old battle royale genre, so we'll see how that goes. But no, Fortnite's good for them.
And you and I get press clippings all the time, at least I do, as far as the next great game in the battle royale genre coming soon to a video game console near you. And it's just like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And Battlefield, they may actually add on a battle royale game as well onto its Battlefield World War II that's coming back out later this year. So we'll have to wait and see how the battle royale genre is going to shape up, and how long this fad is going to last, because at some point in time it's going to be all played out ad nauseum. But I think right now it's at its height, and Fortnite could be that game, when all is said and done, be the game in the battle royale genre that makes the most out of its 15 minutes of fame. And the last thing I want to talk about, as far as the major news stories, comes from the world of TV. I know you had said about shows that are being canceled and shows that are being picked up by other networks. Probably the biggest show that was talked about over the course of the first 6 months of 2018 was Roseanne. It debuted, or it rebirthed, I should say. Got born again to a startling 18.2 million viewers in its initial episode when it came back onto the airwaves for ABC. But just about 2 months later, my friend, Roseanne has been canceled due to some unfortunate and untimely and really extremely repugnant comments made by Roseanne Barr on everybody's social media friend, Twitter. Get off that Twitter. And it looks like at this point in time, Roseanne is done for. Although I wouldn't be surprised if a network tries to do some sniffing around as far as other than ABC, as far as seeing if they can go ahead and pick up Roseanne, similar to what has happened with Designated Survivor, Last Man Standing, Brooklyn Nine, and other shows, the Expanse, and other shows that have been picked up by other networks, streaming or otherwise. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody will want to take on that challenge, and all that social media backlash and all the public backlash of actually putting that show on this network. I wouldn't put it past certain networks to do that. I don't watch the show personally, but I know obviously it has to be something mentioned as far as some of the top news stories so far in 2018, because just the nature of, you can't argue with 18 million viewers upon its first initial showing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm kind of don't really want to talk about this because I'm gonna get myself in trouble. But yeah, no, it's people like it. I mean, they wouldn't have brought it back if they didn't. But it's just goes to show you that like nobody's immune from the power of the internet. And just because you have an opinion, it doesn't mean that you should put it out there. But at the same time, there's always that double standard because there have been people who've said far worse things and haven't lost things from that. So it's just it's a very difficult balancing act to be in the spotlight and in anything. If you have a lot of followers, you just got to know that's the name of the game. You got to keep some things to yourself and not say some things just because you feel the need to. Like I got friends who will be out doing stuff and they just decide to say the stupidest things and they end up, well, what did you think was going to happen? So it's I don't know, man. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. It
But
makes
you don't have a potential $100 million powerhouse television show with syndication and all that that's riding on this, as far as whether or not, to say anything at all on social media.
Yeah, that should have been something in her contract. But here's the thing, man. Like yeah, you shouldn't say it, but I mean, it's if you're in the spotlight, like it's one of those things that seems like it's gonna come out eventually, and there's always like you're gonna slip up and say something stupid, whether it's on Twitter or it's in private or someone hears you say it at a party, you're gonna say it. But at the same time, like it makes money and we'll see like just how willing Hollywood is to stick to their firm standard of left kind of left leaning politics when it comes to something that makes this much money. So I'm actually like I'm very interested in this story. So I've been following it and I will continue to follow it. But yeah, man, I don't it's interesting. I don't want to like say I don't want to end up ranting and getting us in trouble for saying anything. So let's move on.
I understand completely on that. Whether side of the fence you're on that, it's quite understandable, because you don't want to go down that same path that Roseanne Barr did, as far as talking her way out of a huge contract, a huge deal. Season 2 had already been renewed. ABC was happy with the ratings. They were going to see if they can get the show toned down a little bit political wise, but it was still garnering well over 10 million viewers each and every week that it was on. So throwing that all away. But as we've seen before, when it comes to social media, you just got to watch what you say and do. Someone posted on, we've had these stories before. I've shared the story before on, I'm running Game Source and I let other people run Game Source, and they posted something that was extremely inappropriate, and they had no clue how inappropriate it was. And then I had to go ahead and make an apology and a retraction and all that other stuff. And it's frustrating because you're not even the one that posted it, so it's that's made it even worse. So it's just it. I hear you. It's just people have just got to learn, when they're on social media, to use it for certain things and to not use it for other things, especially when you have that many people following you and that much, and you're that much under the spotlight. So, but
Right. And we've also developed this shark slash piranha mentality though, where we want to literally destroy people for saying anything. So it's a very volatile atmosphere that is social media, or just existing in the spotlight in general.
this is true. This is true. So Learn that lesson, everyone. Be careful out there on social media. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're going to have on our good friend Hunter Ferris from the Song Appeal podcast. He's going to finish up with my conversation. I'm going to finish up my conversation with him on some of the magic when it comes to the scores and sounds of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then afterwards, Josh and I are going to be talking about Bethesda's move with Fallout. It's announced that Fallout is coming again in a new form. We're going to talk about if that was the right move or they should have gone with Elder Scrolls. Stay with us. We truly appreciate it. This is the PCC Multiverse. We've also got coming up later in the program our thoughts on some of the top news stories so far in pop culture in 2018. So definitely looking forward to talking about that as well. I'm doing that because I'm going to take out a segment because we talked so long about the other two stuff. I'm just going to put in those two segments just to give you a heads up. That's why I did that. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald coming back right at you here. Don't forget, we're not only on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and over 30 podcast outlets, but we're also on online radio stations 7 days a week. And I just want to give a shout out to our online radio stations: Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Good Talk Radio, Croc Radio, IPM Nation, Grey Cloud Radio, Sword Radio in the UK. And of course, we are back and so happy to be back on the air with our good friend, John Sweeney Jr., and with a great network, with our original network, the Podcast Radio Network, with our original home, the Podcast Radio Network. It's so great to be back on the air there. And if you're looking for our schedule so you can keep up to date on where we're being played and when we're being played on online radio or many of our podcast outlets, just head on over to Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook or Pop Culture Cosmos on Twitter. Don't forget as well, if you're really into the barbecue sauces and rubs and seasonings, check out wheelieq.com. And if you put in the discount code at checkout, POD2, POD2, you'll get 15% off your order. Josh, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanica Media. So what's the latest and greatest with Humanica Media?
Honestly, dude, not much tonight. We got there's a new Super BS Numenera episode going up later tonight, probably around midnight. And then I just put up an interview that we did with the melodic hardcore band Mayfield from Canada. So those are some pretty cool dudes, and you guys can check out that interview, which is currently up on the old iTunes, Podbean, and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got coming out this week.
And I also want to make a mention that if you're interested in the hit movie on Amazon Prime right now, Missing Mom documentary from our good friend Rob McCallum, check it out there. But we also have Missing Mom, a retrospective. It's my interview with the directors Rob McCallum and Jordan Morris. That's available as a podcast on our Pop Culture Cosmos. On our Pop Culture Cosmos channel on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and so many other different outlets. Josh, we're going to close out the show with Bethesda's recent announcement of Fallout 76. We got to see the teaser trailer for it because we know we just can't call things a trailer. We can't call things just a trailer these days. It was a teaser trailer for Fallout 76. It was to see the guy putting on the old standby as far as for Fallout games, and seeing the 76 behind him. You see in the corner, as far as in the room that he's in the shelter, the bomb shelter that 1776 mentioned there, and you see everything starting to twine in. Looks like it's going to be taking place. It's going to be, you see it all intertwining in. Looks like it's going to be taking place in the West Virginia area based off the music that was being played. So I want to hear your initial thoughts, man. on Fallout 76. Are you excited for it? Is this something you're interested in getting back into the world of Fallout?
Well, originally I was, but then, the more I found out about it, the less I want to play it. I know that they've been wanting for some time to make it. Originally, the creators of New Vegas, I think, wanted to make a an online Fallout game, and they didn't end up going through with that. But that's what this game is, though. This is an online Fallout game, much like the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm just kind of curious about like, no, this is coming out. What does this mean for Elder Scrolls Online? Are they going to be wrapping that up? Or are they going to continue to support it throughout the coming years? But I don't. This is the question I keep asking everyone. Did anybody actually want an online Fallout game? Because those games are hard enough to play just by yourself. So it I don't know, man. Like, it's just like Fallout 4 had so much content on it that I'm still trying to play through the rest of it. And so I don't really have a desire to play an online Fallout game. And and why are we getting Fallout instead of an Elder Scrolls game? From what I understand, some of this Fallout game has been developed by another studio. But why are we getting this before we're getting the next entry in the Elder Scrolls series? Because it's been 7 years since Skyrim came out. So, and the space in between Fallout releases isn't that much. So why are you putting money into something that you have a guaranteed audience for a game like Elder Scrolls, but you're taking a risk by making something like Fallout, especially an online Fallout. So why? Obviously I need to see more about it, but I don't have any interest in playing it. What about you?
Preach to the choir, my friend, because I am right with you on that. I think it was not the greatest moves. In fact, we just talked about this recently, I believe, that we were hoping that we would be seeing more of a possible Elder Scrolls come E3, but because Elder Scrolls Online I've never got into, but that doesn't mean I don't want to play a cooperational event or a cooperational challenge game. Like, let's take Elder Scrolls Oblivion or Elder Scrolls Skyrim, two of the most popular games in the Elder Scrolls series, and obviously two of the best games that have come out within a 10-year time frame. Within a 15-year time frame. So if that was able to be actually translated fully into a extended adventure, because Elder Scrolls Online doesn't really have that feel of an adventure game like the rest of the Elder Scrolls series, but they were able to if they were able to incorporate that, plus make it two or three of your friends playing alongside of it, that to me might be worth something, because I know when I play Oblivion or Skyrim, I look to see if I can get the help from as many NPCs to help with me, to stay with me and follow me around and help beat up as many monsters with me, and get that help. Just that type of interaction is kind of cool at some point in time, but it would be even better if I had two or three friends to go along with me, but keep it at that minimum as far as a online experience is concerned. I would still just prefer at this point in time a new Elder Scrolls game. I think it would feel more fresh. I agree with you 100% that Fallout is not the game that they should have brought out at this point in time. I just think that might have been an error on Bethesda's part, and I see declining sales over Fallout 4 from Fallout 4 or even Skyrim because of it. I just think that a Elder Scrolls game, it was the right time to bring it out, and they missed their opportunity. They might bring it out next year. They might bring a new one out the year after, but this was really a right time because Skyrim can't go on anywhere else. There's no other console games. There's no other consoles being made out that can support another Skyrim, unless you're talking about mobile phones really getting hot and heavy, or the Intellivision or Sega Genesis really be able to put extra RAM in there. It's not going to happen. There's no more consoles coming out, no more platforms that Skyrim can be put upon. So that one's done. It's over. It's finito. So now would be a great time 7 years later to actually get a new, fresh look at the Elder Scrolls series that's not Elder Scrolls Online, because that's a completely different game than the Elder Scrolls series I know and love when I play it, Morrowind, Oblivion, or Skyrim.
Yeah, I mean, I dove into I actually bought, Elder Scrolls Online from, Toys R Us today. $8, couldn't pass it up, but, I
$8. There you go.
$8, yeah, I mean, I'd already played it before, I just got rid of it, but I've been looking to dive back in.
What platform?
Xbox One, what about you?
Very nice. So I haven't played it in a while. I've only played it on PS3, but I think I can find it for $8, I'm just might have to go ahead and buy it as well.
Hey, well, me and Big Dog play, so, just jump on, man, we'll explore Tamriel and, wreck some, skooma dealers and all that.
But it's still not the same experience as when you play Skyrim or when you play Elder Scrolls Oblivion. It's not that big, huge adventure. It's just doesn't seem the same.
Right. Well, so you have a lot of people running around the map, and you have there's just the areas you can go are just vast, and everywhere you go, you collect like hundreds of quests, and it's you can probably play the game forever if you want to, but it's it's an Elder Scrolls game. It doesn't have the annoyances of like a your normal MMOs, your Final Fantasy onlines, your your Blizzard games and all that. You just play it at your own pace. You play by yourself, play with a friend. The only difference is, yeah, there's a lot of people running around, and you have to be a certain level to do certain things. But it's not the single player experience you get from a like a mainline entry, but it's still it's fun until and it's fun until it's not, basically. So you played in phases, I guess.
But I will say this: I agree with you 100% that they should have brought out an Elder Scrolls game. Do you think Fallout 76 is still going to be something a lot of people will get into? I think a lot of people get into it. I just don't think they'll get into it as much as they did Fallout 4 because that came out at the right time for Bethesda and that proved to be a big hit as well. I just think going back into the Fallout series is a little bit too soon at this point in time.
Right, and what we still want to know is it subscription based, or how is it going to work? How many how many is there going to be servers, or what's going to go on with that? But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see it getting, especially if Bethesda is going to announce something big like Starfield or the next Elder Scrolls. I see this Fallout game being a moment in time and nothing more, nothing that's going to last like into the air, the days of like Elder Scrolls Online, because you still have all these popular areas that nerds have been traveling to for years, but in Fallout it's just all right, we're gonna explore a ravaged wasteland, maybe give them a call out to some old expansions or whatever, but other than that, what is there?
Exactly. And so, yes, they are going to be able to move some copies of the game, but I just don't think they're going to be doing quite as well with Fallout 76 than if they had done a true iteration of true continuing iteration of the Elder Scrolls series. That would have been my choice, and it definitely sounds like it would have been yours. What are your thoughts out there on Bethesda's announcement of Fallout 76? Are you excited for it? Is this the game that you wanted Bethesda to make? Or did you want them to do a true continuing iteration in the Elder Scrolls series that's not called Elder Scrolls Online? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. So Josh, we're heading out, but I know some great things are coming along the way for our. So Josh, I know we're heading on out, but I know we've got some great things coming up this weekend. I know you got a great interview, like I said, but I know you got a great interview that you got, and I know you're looking forward to some great music as well that you're looking forward to for your interview. But do you have anything? Do you have any thoughts on the way out on how your weekend's going to shape up and what you're looking forward to?
Uh, no, honestly, it's just real life stuff, man. Outside of my podcaster persona, just a lot going on with the Josh Peterson behind the Clark Kent glasses. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I got a busy weekend as well, but we will see how Sola performs in its second weekend. Will there be a dramatic drop? I know the word of mouth is not great on it, but I think people do need to give it a chance. it has its issues, and I'll hopefully be able to go into that more when you watch it, or I'm able to get a spoiler cast involved with Rob, Jay, or whoever wants to join in with me on that. But I hope people give it a chance because it is it's an okay movie. Like I said, I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was something that is deserving of the bad press that it's getting. But hopefully, people will give it a chance and definitely make it the most that they can out of the Star Wars series. Plus, there's a lot of stuff going on in pop culture as well. And we at the Pop Culture Cosmos, we at the Pop Culture Cosmos are going to try our best to cover it all. Are going to do our best to cover it all. Well, I just say are going to do our best to cover it all. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. Oh, I blew it again. Wrong show. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. Here's hoping you have yourself a great day.